What would you define as evil? Mahito, the embodiment of the darkest parts of the human soul, a perfect patchwork of destruction and death. What makes his approach to evil so compelling? And why does it make him one of the greatest villains in anime? Mahito entered the story as an enigma, the first curse we saw that looked human. Like a twisted version of a sorcerer with his patchwork body and different eyes. But what was different was his childlike demeanor, his insatiable curiosity about the world and his ability, and his curse technique, idle transfiguration to interact with the soul, was one of the most dangerous and unpredictable in JJK. Now his first action is easily disfiguring humans with a simple touch, because Mahito used humans as toys to further his own understanding of himself, but his first toy was Junpei.
Excuse me? Did you do that? Inside the theater?
A bullied and depressed kid with a pitiful existence, not even being helped by teachers who couldn't bother to assist him. And after Junpei saw Mahito easily kill his bullies, he got a taste of what he always desired: power.
僕にも同じことができますか?
Junpei ran to Mahito for understanding, for a friend. And that made him the perfect toy. Mahito easily manipulated him into believing he was his friend, teaching him about cursed energy and spirits, developing his ability with the nurturing of an older brother, feeding him with the desire that he was special. All he did was take advantage of a naive child. And Junpei's mother was a nail in the coffin, the only sense of peace, holding up his fragile ego.
順平の母ちゃん、いい人だな。
Mahito assisted in planting a Sukuna finger and had her killed, eaten from the waist down. And with swiftness consoled Junpei, planting the seeds that someone who hates him cursed his mother, creating a darkness in Junpei's fragile mind, snapping the final strand on his first toy. Having Junpei seek to murder and torture all the people who looked down on him, who he believed cursed his mother to death, until Itadori stopped him. Slowly picking up the pieces of his shattered soul. But it was too late. Because Junpei had foolishly thought of Mahito as a good person. All because he was kind to him, treated him with respect, making him blind to the humans Mahito experimented on in front of Junpei, had Junpei hold like toys. And when Junpei's common sense caught up to his ego, Mahito killed him without a second thought, letting him join his mother in death, begging for his pointless life in the hands of a person who was actually his friend, who could have actually saved him from his life of misery. Only to rip it away from him and remind him, you are nothing. Your mother's death was nothing, and your fragile attempt at fighting against life came to an end when you met me.
もう死んだ。ちょっと乱暴に形変えたからね。 こんなもんかな。大変しろ。
Death was Mahito's paint and his hands the brush that enacted it, on adults, on children. But Mahito's death comes into his focus on a singular person. To kill, to cause despair, that is his nature as a curse. Itadori Yuji's death was the dream he salivated for. But his first rupture in Itadori's soul was Nanami. A mentor and practically a father figure to Yuji. Killing Nanami was the first stab to Itadori's heart. And what's perfect is how lucky Mahito got when Itadori showed up. His hand was already on Nanami. His death was 100% certain. But you know what he did? Gave Nanami the time to reflect on his life and regrets. To look Itadori in the eyes with a smile. Only to have Yuji taken every detail of his body exploding into tiny pieces of meat on the ground. But his greatest feat was no ball. Leading her to Yuji and repeating the same tactic again. Giving him time to look her in the eye, understanding the impending doom that she will die, and brutally ending her in front of his face, breaking his soul. And without a second thought, beating it into him like the pathetic child he is. Reminding him, like Junpei, you aren't special. You're just a kid who didn't realize how dark the world is.
Happy birthday ってやつさ。Itadori?
Mahito was a walking calamity, and every time he appeared on screen, we knew someone was going to die. He embodied the essence of a villain. But Mahito's evil was in discovering himself. Not simply power or domination, he was always pining after the true shape of his soul. Like a child learning to connect the dots of their world, which reflected in him not caring about the plans of curses, not caring about even fighting Sukuna, who was inside of Yuji. Mahito embodied the spirit of JJK, unbridled selfishness. There is no right or wrong, there's only present satisfaction. And in his last fight in this world, he reached it. He reached his first day being born. But the day he was born was also the day he died. For the evil you commit will come back to you in a force more dangerous than you can imagine, and it did in Itadori Yuji. Mahito destroyed Itadori's ideology to the point where he accepted that him and Mahito were the same.
俺はお前を否定したかった。お前の言ったことなんて知らねえよって。今は違う。ただお前を殺す。また新しい呪いとして生まれたら、そいつも殺す。
Becoming the hunter for once in their game of predator and prey. At the end of his life, Mahito understood the fear of being hunted, the betrayal of death. For the first time, he was no longer playing with toys and lives. He was the toy. And now his greatest plaything was coming to break him. like he did to so many others.
伊崎
Mahito was a child with the extreme potential of a devil descending upon Earth. A child who could become a calamity upon mankind, a new age Sukuna who would have been unstoppable, ever learning, ever experimenting, and ever embodying the ethos of the current world. But the people he toyed with, the people he killed and turned into pitiful husks of humanity, he died the same way. Alone, twisted, and demented like his own ability, and used as nothing but a toy to the evil in another sinister human being. In the end, he knew it was coming.
知ってたさ。だって俺はお前らから生まれたんだから。
He was born from humans. He knows the depths of our wickedness. An unstoppable and practically unkillable mirror of humanity. One that went down in history as one of the worst beings in existence. But he died discarded and alone after finally being born. A perfect end for the human curse who understood the abyss all humans keep locked in their soul. A shadow too black for the fake light of this world.
人にとって死は鏡。真人はその鏡そのものです。